Is reality fractal? Imagine zooming into a single grain of sand, past the crystal structure, past the atoms, past the particles holding it together, and finding, impossibly, the exact same pattern you started with. Most people believe the universe is built from smooth, continuous laws. That is not what the evidence shows. According to a growing body of research in physics and mathematics, the deeper we look into reality, the more it appears to repeat itself. Coastlines, blood vessels, galaxies, even the static hiss of empty space. The reasons behind this are far stranger and far less understood than most people realize. A fractal is a shape that repeats itself at every scale. Zoom in, and the pattern looks the same as when you zoomed out. This isn't just a mathematical curiosity. The branching of your lungs follows the same ratio as the branching of river deltas seen from space. The jagged edge of a coastline, measured at 1 mile, produces almost the same statistical roughness as that same coastline measured at 1 foot. A 1967 paper by mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot showed that the coastline of Britain doesn't have a fixed length at all. The closer you measure, the longer it gets, infinitely. Even a single tree follows the rule. A branch splits into smaller branches. Those split into twigs. The twigs split into smaller twigs still. And at every level, the ratio of the split looks almost identical. Snap off a single twig and hold it up, and it resembles a miniature version of the entire tree. And this is just the beginning of the pattern. Your own body is not built like a machine with fixed, separate parts. It's built like a fractal. The human lung contains roughly 23 generations of branching airways, each one splitting in a pattern mathematically close to self-similar at every level, ending in nearly 500 million alveoli. If you unfolded the surface area of a single pair of human lungs, it would cover close to 70 square meters, roughly the floor space of a tennis court compressed into a cavity the size of a basketball. Your circulatory system does the same thing. Arteries branch into smaller arteries, into arterioles, into capillaries, the same forking pattern repeating at every scale, for nearly 100,000 kilometers of vessels packed inside one human body. This isn't decoration. It's the only way evolution found to pack maximum surface area into minimum space. Even your brain follows the rule. The folds and creases across its surface, the wrinkled texture that gives the human brain its distinctive look, exist for the same reason as the lungs. A smooth brain the same volume as yours would have roughly a third of the surface area and a third of the room for the neurons that let you think, remember, and reason at all. But the real mystery isn't why your body uses this pattern. It's why the same pattern shows up in things that have never been alive. Zoom out from the human body, past the planet, past the solar system, and the pattern doesn't disappear. It gets bigger. Large-scale surveys of the universe, mapping hundreds of thousands of galaxies, reveal that matter isn't spread evenly through space. It clusters into filaments, sheets, and voids, forming what cosmologists call the cosmic web, a structure that, at certain scales, displays statistical self-similarity strikingly close to a fractal. Some researchers, most notably physicist Luciano Pietronero in the 1980s, argued that galaxy distribution showed fractal characteristics across enormous distances. Decades of further surveys have since shown this self-similarity breaks down at the very largest scales, where the universe becomes statistically smooth, but only after a region of space so large it contains an estimated 10 million galaxies, repeating the same web-like clustering pattern over and over before it finally evens out. That means for roughly the first several hundred million light-years of structure, the universe genuinely doesn't know the difference between zoomed in and zoomed out. And this is only the visible structure. What's underneath it may be even stranger. At the smallest scale physics can currently describe, the Planck length, roughly 1 sextillionth of a meter, space itself is theorized to stop behaving smoothly. Some models in quantum gravity describe this scale as quantum foam, a turbulent, bubbling structure where space-time fluctuates violently, folding and twisting in patterns some physicists have described as self-similar across different energy levels. This is not something we fully understand. Our current models actively struggle to reconcile how smooth, continuous space-time at the human scale could emerge from something this chaotic at the smallest scale. If certain fractal-inspired models of quantum gravity are correct, space itself may not have a true smallest unit at all. It may simply keep revealing more structure, the same way Mandelbrot's coastline kept getting longer the closer you measured it. In other words, it's possible reality has no floor. Here is where the pattern becomes genuinely unsettling. Fractal patterns are what mathematicians call the result of scale invariance, a system governed by rules that don't care how big or small it is. Most natural systems that grow under constraint, limited energy, limited space, limited material, tend to settle into fractal-like efficiency, because it's mathematically the most economical way to fill space or distribute flow. That would explain lungs. It would explain rivers. It would even explain galaxy clustering, if gravity is acting as that same scale-invariant force across cosmic distances. Stock markets show traces of the same behavior. Price charts, stripped of their date labels, look statistically similar whether you're looking at a single day or a decade, a pattern Mandelbrot also studied. Lightning bolts, blood vessels, and the cracks in drying mud all obey strikingly similar branching mathematics, despite having nothing to do with each other physically. But it does not fully explain why the deepest layer of physical reality, the quantum scale, governed by entirely different rules than gravity or biology, would show hints of the same self-repeating structure. Some theoretical physicists have speculated that this could point to a deeper, unified mathematical framework underlying everything from atoms to galaxies, not because the universe was designed that way, but because self-similarity may be the default behavior of almost any sufficiently complex system left alone for billions of years. We don't know if that's true. What we do know, lightning branches like the cosmic web stretching across the visible universe. And underneath all of it, space-time itself may fold into the same turbulent, repeating structure, all the way down to a scale so small it may not even have a bottom. This is not proof that reality is, in a strict mathematical sense, a true fractal. True fractals are infinite, and the universe almost certainly isn't. But what we measure again and again across 70 orders of magnitude, from the width of a capillary to the breadth of the cosmic web, is the same architecture, repeating itself. Reality may not be a fractal in the pure mathematical sense, but it appears to behave like one wants to be. Maybe that's the strangest part. We didn't design rivers, lungs, or galaxies to look alike. They simply ended up that way, independently, across billions of years and unimaginable distances. I hope you enjoyed the video. I would be very grateful for your support, and I look forward to seeing you next time.